Let me get the mic. Honey, I got something to say. Ooh, I like that. Can you turn that up for me? No, like, it's Maja. But you know, Maj for short. Ask Maj.
What's up? What's up? It's your girl Maj, and we are back with another episode of Ask Maj, the podcast, where I am spilling all the real tea. Hey, y'all. We're back with another episode. I love recording. I say that every time, but I always get so excited to record. We have so much to cover today, as we always do. Make sure you vote. I need your help. Vote, 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 vote. I am changing the status quo, honey. Black women are severely underrepresented and negatively portrayed in the media, music, movies, and TV. And my goal is to help change that stigma. Vote Ask Maj a Podcast for the 2020 Podcast Awards by visiting www.podcastawards.com and nominating Ask Maj a Podcast for the People's Choice Award and the Entertainment Award. Voting ends July 31st. Okay? Did y'all like my commercial? That was a little, yes, okay. So excited. Yeah, so vote, 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 vote. Super excited. And like I said, voting ends July 31st. So you got the whole month. No excuses. I need y'all's help. So Maj moment of the day, of the week, of the year, month, however long you need it. So this comes from my sweet friend Tyra. Shout out to Tyra if you are listening. Love, love, love her. Tyra tweeted not too long ago, and I loved her tweet. This is what she said. Lately, I'm realizing more and more that I can literally do anything I put my mind to. I can respect titles and structure in the workplace, but no one can convince me that I don't deserve a seat at the table. This is why I stay true to myself. My personality is contagious because I do not idolize people. I can't and I won't minimize who I am because someone major is in the room. I'm in the room too. Yes, Tyra, go ahead and preach, honey. Maj moment for the day, honey. I'm in the room too. Okay? And I just feel like even, with everything going on, I think this has shed a lot of light on just minimizing ourselves as Black people in the workplace. First of all, for, minimizing ourselves for our white counterparts, and then minimizing ourselves for people who have higher titles than us or bigger jobs than us or so on and so forth. And like Tyra said, like, it's cool. Like, yes, I respect structure, right? And I respect titles in the workplace. I respect that you are my boss and I will treat you as such. However, you aren't greater than me. Ooh, child. You aren't better than me because you are the VP and I'm the comms manager. I want to minimize myself because you're in the room. Understand, honey, I'm in the room too. Ooh, child. And sometimes you just have to remind yourself, ooh, I needed that. I needed that. When the VP walk in, when the CEO walk in, it's cool, respect. But, honey, I'm here too. I walked in here too, okay? I'm in the room too. So never minimize yourself. Stop minimizing yourself for your white counterparts, for your bosses, for the top dogs, the CEOs, all of that. Respect is amazing. Yes, absolutely. Respect workplace, respect structure, respect titles, all of that stuff. But understand that you are just as valuable. So repeat after me. I'm in the room too. Yes, ma'am. I needed that. I am in the room. And that goes back to one of my previous Maj moments when I talked about that Bible scripture about, God has already given you wherever you set your foot. Wherever you set your foot, God has already given that to you. So understand you belong there. You're in the room too. You are just as valuable as anybody else sitting at that table. You are in the room too. Yes, remind yourself of that. Shout out to Tyra again for giving me my Maj moment for today. Woo chow, I needed that. Speaking of woo chow, when I say woo chow so many times a day, like just so many times. Anyway, I was tweeting something and I put woo chow, and one of my good friends, Brittany, shout out to Britt. She also has a podcast. It's called The Culture University. Bomb podcast, so definitely check it out. And yes, Britt, if you're listening to me, hey girl. So yes, go check out the Culture University. But anyway, I tweeted and I was tweeting about something I can't remember, and I said, woo chow. And Brittany was like, honey, you need a woo chow moment on the podcast. So we're gonna try this out. Because I've had a couple of woo chow moments this week. So, woo chow. Kanye West announced he is running for president on Twitter. He said, quote, in quotes, "We must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I am running for president of the United States. Hashtag 2020 vision." So, yeah, I'm going to let you decide how you feel about that. Next, woo chow. Honey, B. Simone announced she was dropping an EP. Chow, social media went in. I'm like, oh, B, I just feel like she just digging herself a bigger hole. But anyway, my favorite tweet from the response is somebody said, "You're gonna have to submit your lyrics to turnitin.com before you drop the EP." And I was like, oh gosh. And I have experience in PR, communications, and the like. And I understand, when PR people tell their clients that, maybe it's time to chill, so on and so forth. Maybe you should take a break. I understand that. I don't know B. Simone personally. I don't know what it's like to work with her. So I don't necessarily know what I would advise her in these moments. But I do feel like her continuing to speak out on things is her digging herself a deeper hole. Like, you were just caught in this plagiarism scandal. I don't think it's the best time to announce that you're dropping an EP right now. Like, and I get it. I see both sides because, when it comes to PR, because some people are saying, oh, well, she needs to just back down for a second, just be quiet, go ghost. And then some people are like, no, she needs to fix her mistakes. And oftentimes, celebrities will do something. It will cause this big controversy and they will just go ghost and then come back like it never happened. So to me, it doesn't really show a lot of remorse. Like, that doesn't show me that you're like genuinely sorry. You know what I mean? Now, in her case, she has apologized and she seems to be doing some things to try to, fix her mistakes, with the webinar. I thought they were cool. I thought she seemed like she had good intentions behind it. And a lot of times we don't get that from celebrities. It's an apology, they go ghost, and they come back when things boil over and they feel like people have forgotten. I mean, honestly, we take them right back in. So I mean, I can appreciate the fact that she's trying, but I think it needs to be appropriate, I guess. Maybe she needs to like limit some of her communications and maybe limit some of her social media interaction, or even just stick to her businesses, I guess. I don't know. But it does seem like she is digging herself a deeper hole. It's just like, sis, people are coming for you right now. And right now, like, you are in the fire. Like, you are hot. So, like, anytime she comes out and says something, people automatically jump on her about, plagiarism and so on and so forth. And, I mean, I can't blame them. That's why I'm like, maybe sis is just chill for a second. Like, maybe no new, ventures right now. No new news. Like, just stick to what you've been doing, for now. Kind of lay low a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Also, I meant to correct myself. I talked about on the last episode, Beyonce's Black is King film is coming out. And I can't remember, but I believe I said that it was coming out on Friday, July 10th, which was incorrect. Child, I was trying to log into Disney Plus and I couldn't find it. So then I realized that it doesn't come out July 10th. It comes out July 31st. So my bad. For all of you Beyonce lovers and Beyonce haters, the film doesn't come out July 10th. Obviously, it's past July 10th. It comes out July 31st. So get your Disney Plus account. We'll find somebody who already has an account. You didn't hear from me. Moving on, Teyana Taylor. I just love her so much. She just announced her new makeup collection with MAC. In her IG caption, she said, "I'll always be a 90s girl out at heart. I'm so excited to finally share my MAC Cosmetics collection with you guys. We took some of my absolutely favorites." I don't know if it was absolutely or absolute favorites. I must have wrote it down wrong. Anyway, absolute favorites to inspire these limited edition custom shades with this iconic neon packaging. I can't wait for you all to get your hands on it in July. So shout out to Teyana. Like, she's just making moves. I absolutely love it. The new album, the new baby, new videos, new collection. She just dropped the Junie B collection. And now she has this new MAC makeup collection. Absolutely. Just love it. Absolutely love it. And she's been dropping new merch from her album. I need to go on there and get some because I saw some jogging pants on there I really, really liked. So look out for the collection. And if you support Teyana, buy some merch. Black businesses all day, every day. Vegan influencer and actor Tabitha Brown, she has come to be loved. Everybody loves her. If you don't like Tabitha Brown, something might be wrong with you. Anyway, she is getting her own show on the Ellen Network, which is also known as EllenTube. The show is called All Love, And Tabitha will be giving advice on parenting, cooking, and self-care. She has such a beautiful family, so that is definitely something to look forward to. And she seems very deserving. So shout out to Tabitha, all this Black girl excellence. I just love it. And continuing on with the string of Black girl excellence, honey, Sarah Jakes Roberts, TD Jakes' daughter. Oh my God. She just bought a lavish 9,000 square foot. My apartment is not even half of that. 9,000 square foot mansion in Calabasas, California. And this is according to Variety. And her husband, Touré Roberts, will be neighbors to Kevin Hart. And I just, like, what am I doing with my life? At this point, all the Maj moments about to be scriptures because I'm about to become a preacher. Like, and the crazy thing is my dad is a pastor. So, like, we're, like, I don't understand what's taking so long. Maybe maybe it's because I haven't become a pastor yet. Let me not say yet because, Lord Jesus, I don't know. I don't think that's my calling. You know, I don't. But, yeah, so I don't, maybe I missed it. Because this whole rich out here. Like, what am I doing? This really makes you question your life. Really makes you question your life. And I don't know if y'all saw that picture TDJ just posted up against a car. I can't remember. I don't know if it was like an old Mustang or something. I might even be downplaying it. He was standing up against a car with his little jersey and tennies and his little glasses on. And I was like, oh yes, I am absolutely doing something wrong because the pastor is out here styling and profiling, and I'm just looking like I'm looking. Like, I need something's got to give. Anyway, shout out to all the Black girl excellence. You know what? I'm about to come up with a segment for Black girl excellence. Love, like, that's what my whole campaign has been based around with the podcast awards. Is just really sharing our stories, right? Bringing light and attention to our stories, just about our excellence. And, you know, we're being entrepreneurs and activists and all the amazing things all the Black girls are doing. Like, I just love it. I need a segment. So if y'all think of any names, like, let me know. I want it to be like a Black girl excellence segment. Like, I don't, Black girl excellence is boring. Like, it's, I don't like it. And then there's already Black girl magic. I mean, I could call it Black girl magic. I don't know. Send me some DMs with y'all's ideas. Write me on Facebook. And yes, I also mentioned when I was talking about voting, I forgot to mention, make sure you keep up with the campaign on all my social media. On Facebook, it's at Ask the Podcast. Instagram is at Ask the Podcast. And Twitter is at Ask the Pod. So make sure you keep up with the campaign. And yes, if you do follow me, wonderful. If you don't, please follow me. And yes, if you have any suggestions about this new segment I want to add, please let me know. Because I definitely want to add like a Black girl segment. Like, we're everything. I love it. Absolutely. Also, you know, I was talking about all of the new music last week, and it was so much dropping, so much that already had dropped, and then there was so much that was dropping that's upcoming. And I forgot to mention a few. So Snow Allegra, she also announced her, I don't know if it's an EP or an album, but it's called Dying for Your Love, and it will drop this Friday, July 10th. Also talked about Summer Walker, Life on Earth, her EP, this Friday, July 10th. Like, I'm so excited. Love both of them. City Girls just dropped their new video with Doja Cat called P Talk. That's what we gonna call it, P Talk. You know, y'all know the word P Talk. I will say this, they looked great. They looked amazing. So let me tell you something. I ain't here to start nothing, but I am a little confused because I thought Doja Cat was canceled after the racist comments, and then here she go popping up on, you know, the City Girls album. Now, you know, they could have recorded a song a long time ago, you know, before all of this happened. You know, respect. I don't know. I guess there's nothing they could do about that now. I mean, they could have shot the video without her. It would have been weird, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm just telling y'all what I saw. But anyway, they looked great. We just gonna leave that at that. They looked great in their new video. Anyway, so again, speaking of new music, I know it's been so much drama around August Alsina and his comments on the interview and so on and so forth. And yes, I'm about to give my opinion on it. Okay, so if you're not open-minded, you might not want to listen. You might want to cut me off now. Okay. So here we go. Let me say, I don't know. We will never know what August's motives were when he did the interview or when he talked about Jada or anything else he talked about in the interview. Now, I can say his album has reached number 48 on Billboard 200. So, I mean, shout out to him. So, regardless if he was or wasn't trying to create publicity around that, he definitely did. And it worked. But anyway, so for those of you who don't know, August Alsina did an interview. He just dropped his album, The Product 3 State of Emergency, and a docuseries to go along with it. And he did an interview with Angela Yee about this new album and the docuseries. And of course, it blew up because in the interview, he talked about his past relationship with Jada. So I guess I'll talk about the good things first. Let me talk about the good things, and then we'll get into Jada. First of all, I encourage you, if you have not watched the whole interview, I encourage you to watch the entire interview. Obviously, I think, when clips like that come out, those are the controversial pieces. Those that's what gets people talking. Obviously, his comments around Jada and Will, and his past relationship with Jada. Obviously, that's the clip that's going to make, that's going to go viral. And then obviously people, speak on that, they run with it, whatever. And, rightfully so. However, I do believe that, when snippets like that come out about, celebrities and they're saying something that goes viral, like I encourage everybody to watch the full interview so you can get the context. And I feel like that's happened to a lot of celebrities where, they'll make a statement about something, in an interview, and that one small statement comes out and it goes viral and people run with it without having full context of the statement or whatever it is that they say, like the full context of that small part of the interview. So my thing is, I don't know, you may or may not disagree with me, but I do feel like in order to get full context and to really, really be able to argue and debate about it and have an opinion, I do feel like you should get the full context, meaning you should watch the full interview. That's just my take on it, whatever. And I don't see how people, obviously, like I said, that's what gains attention and publicity and controversy. I get that, but do your research, watch the full interview, and then create your opinions from there. And if you did create an opinion off of just that one small comment, that one small clip, that's cool. But be open to, a lot of people have been saying normalize. Normalize, watching the full video, watching the full interview, getting the full context of what he said, and changing your opinion. That's okay. That's completely okay. But I do encourage you, if you haven't watched the interview, watch the full interview, not just the clip. He talked about so much. But anyway, and it was a very emotional interview. So if you have watched it, you know what I mean. And if you haven't watched it, it's definitely emotional. I, as a woman, honey, that time of the month is coming around. So watching that interview, I was extremely hormonal and a bit emotional. So if you're anything like me, you'll feel emotional too. I didn't tear up or anything, but he made you feel it. He made you feel some of the things he felt. Very emotional. He looked great. I thought August looked great. And I mean, I think that, as humans, when people go through things and, they deal with tragedies and sicknesses and health issues, we automatically think they're supposed to look bad. I don't know. But, he looked great. He looked great. And honestly, I didn't expect anything different. I think he looked great. The hair was different for me, child. A little twist out with the little ombre. Okay. Okay, August, I see you. But I thought he looked great. His skin looked amazing. I thought he looked very, very good. Also, I loved how in the beginning of the interview, he talked about being nervous. He talked about being nervous, about the interview. And I related to that. I can attest to that because as a content creator and content creators, artists, anybody that puts out anything, any sort of talent, passion, or whatever that you're pursuing, once you put something out, a product out, you're always nervous about it. I mean, that maybe I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I know a lot of people who are content creators, artists, you're always nervous about it. And it's not necessarily that you care about what people think, but you want them to love it. You work so hard on this. This is your passion. This is what you love, and you want people to love it just as much as you love it. It sucks when, you put something out that you love, you work so hard on, and people hate it. That's just what it is. So you're just so nervous because you want people to love it like you love it. So I can attest to that, and I'm glad that he opens up just about, being nervous. I haven't been, in the public for a while. Like he said, he's kind of been in hiding a little bit just to deal with some of his own things that he was going through, and, to be back, on the front lines and doing an interview was, he was nervous. So I can respect that. I can attest to that. It made me feel like I can relate to him. And just speaking of that, he was very vulnerable. He cried a little bit when he talked about, the death of his sister and so on and so forth. And, I love that because I think, and I'm going to speak from Black people. As a Black woman, I think sometimes, we do shame men, when they are vulnerable. We've been very closed off to men being vulnerable and crying. And I mean, we've learned it from our parents. It's a generational thing. When a boy falls down, it's get up, don't you cry, so wipe it off, whatever. And when the girl does it, it's oh, baby, it's okay, come cry in my arms, so on and so forth. And I think, it's time we start normalizing, it's okay for guys to feel, and it's okay for them to show their feelings and to talk about it. So, I mean, I appreciate him, crying and being vulnerable and, just opening up about everything that he's been through and speaking on the death of his sister, because that's hard, especially when the whole world is watching you, and coming from, he hasn't been in the spotlight, so coming back into the spotlight and talking about something that deep, like, I respect him from that. And at some point, he was saying that he said, all I have is love, and honestly, I think that's a result of just being broken down. Like, you've been broken down so low that all you have is love. Like, you don't even have the energy to hate, or to dislike or to be angry. Like, I was just like, wow, like, just him being vulnerable and being open and saying all I have is love. It's just like, wow, he's really been through some stuff. And I was just like, wow, like, I respect him for that. I admire him for that. Another thing I really loved is, like, when he talked about his sister kid, he was talking about his sister's kids, and it seems like he's taking them on. He raises them, he's taking that responsibility, and he when he talks about them, he says my kids. He doesn't, he does say my niece and nephew, but he says, those are my kids. And I just was like, wow, we don't hear stories about that often. He's like, he talked about the relationship of his sister and how close they were, and that he took them in, and when he referred to them, he's like, those are my kids, my kids this and my kids that. And I love it. Like, I just admire, his strength and how he's overcome a lot of the things that he's been through, and the fact that he's talking about it. So again, like I said, it was a very emotional interview. But I definitely encourage everyone to watch the entire interview. Okay. So his relationship with Jada. Let me say this. And again, I can say this a thousand times. I think that everybody should watch the interview, because again, everybody took that small clip about his relationship with Jada and what he said about his relationship with Jada, and he talked about so much. Like, he talked about his family, he talked about things that he's been through, he talked about molestation. I didn't know he was molested. He talked about, the death of his sister. I even had to look. I knew she passed away, but I didn't know how, so I had to look that up. He talked about, taking care of his kids. He talked about how his sickness has affected his mental, and he talked about his health journey. Like, he talked about so much. Like, it was an awesome interview. And I'm like, y'all took that one piece from that interview and ran with it. So whatever. Like, I'm a person, I have to do my research and get the full context before I speak on it. So I watched the whole interview and I thought it was awesome. He talked about so much. So it's just like, dang, like, y'all really took that small part and ran with it. But anyway, so obviously, he talked about his past relationship with Jada. It caused a lot of uproar on social media. And before I get into my opinion, there was a few people that spoke out after the interview. So after all of the uproar on social media, Jada tweeted and said, "There's some healing that needs to take place, so I'm bringing myself to the red table." So I was waiting for the red table talk. And I from what I know, she hasn't announced the date that she's going to be talking about this, but I was like, all right, we're going to talk about this, and then we'll do a part 2 once she talks at the red table. Excuse me. So then Will Smith's sister, that's a tongue twister, she made an IG post, pretty cryptic, and she said, "Those you follow and admire so much promoting truth and keeping it real don't seem so admirable now, huh? Pick and choose your heroes and role models wisely. Rich and famous doesn't equal better." So like I said, it was pretty cryptic. She could have been talking about anything, especially with what's going on in our world. I don't know, but she said that. I took note of that. And then this is what Jada's mom said on IG. She said, "Get rid of the pedestal you put people on. Recognize that people are only people with flaws and imperfections just like you and me. Do that and you'll be much happier, because guess what? They already are. Sleep well, beloveds. Keep it pushing." All right, so I'm going to break down what he said and what I believe and what I think he meant by what he said. So first of all, the question is, obviously, do we believe that, or I'm going to say, do I believe that August and Jada had a relationship? Absolutely. Do I think Will gave him his blessing? Absolutely. I don't know August Alsina personally, and y'all know how y'all do. I scroll through Twitter and people will read celebrities' lives like y'all know them, like y'all have a personal relationship with them and y'all know them. Not me. I'm going to go off of what you say and what you show me, because that's all I can go off of. So from the interview, he did seem genuine, and I do believe that he had a relationship with Jada, and I do believe Will Smith gave him his blessing. All right, so let's break it down from his comments. So obviously, when Angela Yee asked him about it, he said, he sat down with Will Smith, and he said that Will Smith explained him and Jada's relationship dynamic, and he said that Will Smith, talked about their life partnership and how there is no romantic element to it. And then he gave August his blessing. So like I said, I do believe that. However, y'all know me. I love to play devil's advocate. So I'm going to look at it from the other point of view. Although I do believe that Will Smith gave August his blessing, I think a lot of times, we can have a conversation with somebody, and because we already have a picture or a fantasy of what we want, we hear what we want to hear. So that's number one. So I do believe that it could have been misperceived, like the conversation could have been misperceived, and maybe Will didn't give him his blessing, and he just took it like that because of what he wanted to hear. He kind of made it mean what he wanted it to mean. But also, number two, I feel like, there's this thing of perception, right? You can say something to two different people, and the exact same thing, a very blunt statement, and two different people can have two different perceptions of what you said. So I think, number one, like I said, I think if we, love is blind. So if you like somebody, you've already pictured your life with them, a fantasy with them, so on and so forth, and you already believe this is how it's supposed to go. Sometimes you don't register things how they're meant to be because that's not what you want to hear. And we see it all the times with our friends in relationships with guys and so on and so forth. Like, it's like he's showing us the red flags, up front, but because we've already pictured ourselves with that person, we ignore the red flags, or we perceive them to be something different, or we make up reasons to justify it. So I can see if people don't believe that, like, Will Smith gave him his blessing, I could see, like, okay, maybe it can come from the fact that, he misperceived it, like that's not what Will really meant, but August heard what he wanted to hear. Like I said, we see that all the time, so that could be a possibility. And secondly, just perception in general, like like I said, you can say a statement to somebody, to two different people, and they'll give you two different meanings of what you said, and it could be a blunt statement, but it's also based on perception. So we'll never know. But like I said, I could see the other side for people who don't believe that Will Smith gave him his blessing, but I believe that. So secondly, he said, he talked about, devoting myself. He said, I gave my full self to her. He said, I could die right now knowing that I felt a love like that. So, I guess a lot of people took that as like Jada taking advantage of him. And again, I always play devil's advocate. I like to see both sides. So I understand why people could think that because, August went through a lot. He was dealing with, his health journey and his own family problems and his sicknesses and so on and so forth. So I can see how people thought, maybe August was just extremely vulnerable and Jada took advantage of him. However, I think, if August says that he sat down, with Will, and Will gave him his blessing and explained to August the relationship dynamic, of their life partnership or whatever, I just don't believe that Will didn't tell him what it is. Like, okay, even if Will gave him his blessing, like, yeah, you can date her, I'm sure there were some stipulations or restrictions or, whatever. And Will has come out and said, we're in a life partnership. So he even said, it doesn't matter what Jada does, I won't leave her, and vice versa. Like, we're not going anywhere. There's nothing Jada could do to make me leave. So what I think happened is I think August went into it. Will Smith explained it to him, and he knew what it was up front. But I do feel like in the midst he caught feelings, like, and he really, really fell in love with her. So I can see how people see that as like, Jada taking advantage of him, and maybe she did. But I also feel like, August, no matter what circumstance you're in, you still have a choice. And I do believe that it was I hate to say explain because it sounds like this contract agreement thing, and maybe it is. But I do feel like, if Will Smith went into detail about their relationship dynamic, it's hard for me to believe that he didn't tell him what it is. I think August knew what it was in the beginning. Like, Jada's not leaving Will for you. Like, they're not getting a divorce for you. And that's not to say like that was his goal or that was his intention, but I do believe, he knew what it was up front, and then he fell in love with Jada thinking that there was going to be more that came out of that. And then he was, rudely awakened. So a part of me doesn't hold Jada accountable for that if you knew what it was when you signed up, kind of thing. It's like, and I hate that people say, oh, Jada took advantage of him because he was going through this, he was going through that. Like, and I think there's a deeper rooted issue here if we want to think about, double standards, because think about all those women who deal with Future and, whoever else, like these dogs out here. Nobody ever says, oh, Future took advantage of her. And I'm sure a lot of these women have low self-esteem and insecurities and so on. And no one's ever going to say, well, Future took advantage of her. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody ever says that, but it's, oh, Jada took advantage of him. These women have, their own issues and so on and so forth that we may not know about. We happen to know about what August was dealing with. Well, some of it, the surface level. So like, I don't know. I think there's a double standard there. Definitely some deeper rooted issues in how we look at women versus men. Yeah, she's older than him, but they're two grown consenting adults. And again, I feel empathetic for August's, situation and his circumstance. And, it is easy, to be taken advantage of, but you still have a choice. And like I said, it's just hard for me to believe that, like, in that conversation that he had with Will about his wife, life partner, whatever you want to call it, that Will never gave him the like, if he gave you his blessing, you can't tell me that he didn't tell you what's up. Like, it's like this. I think about it like this. If my boyfriend goes and talks to my father and he says, look, I want to marry Maja, I know I have to get your blessing, but I want to marry her. And my dad goes, I think you be a great husband. I think, Maja loves you. She makes you, or you make her happy, so on and so forth. However, you guys need to make sure you're putting God first. You guys need to make sure you're financially stable. Marriage is hard. Relationships are not easy. You're going to go through trials and tribulations. You're going to so on and so forth. Like, you can't tell me that Will Smith just was like, good luck. Like, I just don't believe that. I think Will Smith told him what it was. Like, and not to say like, oh, Will Smith was like, oh, Jada like her cereal with ice in it. I don't know. It not like that, but to say like, this is what it is. This is the dynamic of our relationship. Me and Jada will be together forever, even though there's no romanticism or whatever he said. But like you just can't tell me that Will Smith just gave him his blessing without any other context in the conversation. Like, it's just hard for me to believe that. So, like I said, I feel like August went into it, knowing what was up, and he caught feelings. And then it was kind of like, I'm catching feelings. I'm in love with her, so on and so forth. And then, he chose to walk away. We'll talk about that in a second. But he chose to walk away when he kind of realized, like, this isn't going to be what I think it's going to be. Like, this isn't going to go any further than this fling or this short-term relationship or whatever. Like, I just don't believe that August had no idea what he was getting into. I don't believe that. Life partner, marriage, wife, whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't, regardless if there's a romantic aspect of Will and Jada's relationship, it is hard for me to believe that August had no idea what he was walking into. Like I said, I think he knew what was up in the beginning. He caught feelings, fell in love, and thought it was going to be more. And then, I hate to say it, but he kind of got his feelings hurt. And I feel like in the interview, he showed that. Like, he displayed a lot of hurt. He said, he gave his full self to her. He said, I could die right now knowing that, I experienced a love like that. And, that he experienced a love like that. And he said, because a lot of people don't experience a love like that. And I believe him. Like, I believe, like, I didn't take that as like, Jada did something to him or Jada took advantage. I think he fell in love with her. Like, I really think he fell in love with her. And I mean, that happens all the time. Like, it's easy to be like, oh, I would never do this in a relationship. I would never do this in a relationship. Do that in a relationship. Love is blinding. And you would do some things that you said you would never do when you really, really, really are in love. I'm sorry to tell y'all. And if you've never compromised at all for somebody you love, I truly believe you haven't been in love. I mean, that's just what love is. Like, and a lot of times, you hear stories about like people getting out of relationships and it's like, dang, I can't believe I did that, or dang, I can't believe I didn't see that. It's because love is blinding. Like, you become so wrapped up in that feeling, that high. It's like it becomes blinding. It becomes blinding, and a lot of people don't want to admit that, but that's true. You have people going into depression and dealing with mental health and losing their minds over somebody that they lost, over a significant other. Like, think about people who have been married for 20 plus years, thinking that they're going to spend the rest of their life and they get divorced, and y'all are surprised why they fall into depression. No, that's your life. Like, you put your life into that. You invest so much, and then for it not to work out is just like a slap in the face. Like, that's real. Like, love is real, and the hurt that comes from, having to walk away from a love is real. It is real for men and for women. And I wish we would stop downplaying that. Like, I wish we would stop downplaying that. Like, when he said, I could die right now, like, obviously that was his first time experiencing a love like that, whether it was Jada or whether it was somebody else. And like he said, I feel like if you've never been to a point where you've been, I wouldn't say like super, super low, because I hope that everybody doesn't have to deal with that. But I do feel like, you have to deal with heartbreak at some point, and it doesn't have to be like really, really, really bad heartbreak. But, when you experience a true love, you know what it's like. Like you know what it's like to compromise and, do some things a little differently, or even do something you said you'd never do. You know what I'm saying? When you love somebody, like that's just how love works. And I wish we would talk about that a little bit more. Like we need to acknowledge that. And then he said, being in love like that, walking away from it felt butchered. He felt butchered. It felt like it was butchering him or something along those lines. And I honestly, like I said, I feel like you could see the hurt all over him. And in this situation, again, I always have to give this disclaimer because I don't know Will, Jada, or August, or any of them. I'm just speaking from what he said and what I've seen in their interviews. But I do feel like maybe August walked away, or it could have been a mutual agreement. Like, okay, I'm really catching feelings. I'm really in love. And, I know this can't be more, than what it can't be. It can't be what I want it to be. Like, it can't be any more than what it is. And I think he came to a realization of that, and they both were kind of like, either he walked away or it was like a mutual agreement. Like, yeah, okay, well, you don't want what I want, or I can't have what I want, kind of thing in this relationship. And honestly, that's hard. That's hard to walk away from something, and especially from the lady's point of view. Y'all know what this feels like. Like when you're in love with a man, and he can't give you what you need, what you want, what you desire, what you deserve, and you have to walk away from him, but you still love him. That is hard. That is a terrible feeling. That is, especially when you are in love, that is a terrible, terrible feeling. And again, I think we need to acknowledge that. So I think, it was probably either his decision or a mutual agreement to kind of like walk away, from it. Like, this is not going to work the way I want it to work. I'm not going to get, like, obviously she doesn't want what you want. Like, she's not going to give you what you're looking for. And you gotta walk away at that point for your own peace, for your own sake. And sometimes that is the best decision to do so if that person, can't give you what you deserve. And honestly, like, again, I don't know them, but I believe Jada was never going to divorce Will and marry August. And it's not to say that's what he was looking for or that's what he wanted. I don't know, but it was never going to be, I don't think it would ever have been a long-term thing. So yeah, that's my take on it. I respect August. I don't think he lied about anything. I don't think he exaggerated it. And I don't think he used that interview for clout. I don't. Not one bit. Just my opinion. But I see if, people do feel like that. People feel like, Jada took advantage of him. Or maybe he talked about this because his album was coming out. Who knows? But, I like I said, I can see those point of views. But definitely believe everything he said was true. And I'm super excited to see what Jada has to say at the red table, honey. Bring me to the red table because I got something to say, Jada. Bring me to the red table if you listening. I know she's not listening, but a girl can dream. But anyway, yeah, so let me know how y'all feel about that. That's Mash take on everything, and that's y'all's dose of Mash for the day. I will catch y'all on the next episode, and make sure you vote.
Get the mic. Honey, I got something to say. Ooh, I like that. Can you turn that up for me? No, like, it's Maja. But Maj for short. Ask Maj.